Hi friends, how are ya? Welcome back to the channel for a very cozy Christmas craft with me. I have found ever since I moved to a coastal town, Christmas decor just like doesn't quite hit the same. It feels weird to be literally 4 minutes from the ocean, but then have like red, green, wintry stuff everywhere when we're in a warm, kind of more like tropical, not really, but warm climate. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna slowly start making Christmas decor that I like. And this whole idea started last year. I made oyster shell Christmas trees as little DIY, and they are now my favorite piece of Christmas decor I own. It feels right. Like it feels like it fits in our home. It feels like it fits in our environment, and it still feels Christmassy all the same. And I went on a little deep dive on Pinterest to try to curate what I want my home Christmas decor to look like this year. I want to lean into a lot of blue tones. So a couple of our DIYs will attempt making air dry clay Christmas tree taper candle holders. I want to try to create my own stamp and print for kitchen tea towels. I want to possibly paint my own ornaments. I have the idea of trying to do a driftwood wreath. I want to try to make some classic old-fashioned paper garland, but using some, kind of vintagey retro scrapbook paper that also ties in that coastal blue that I like. There is this velvet bow garland that Lulu in Georgia is selling for literally $60. And I'm like, I think I can make that. And I want to do the blue velvet to make some garland to maybe hang over the piano. And I did also want to try to do a little house stamped air dry clay that I could either use as a gift tag or possibly an ornament. So we'll see what all we get to. Let's get started. Let's get started on some air dry clay crafts. I actually started some of these last night so that they would be able to dry overnight and we could maybe finish them off today. This is what I started making late night last night at like 11 p.m. I wanted to create a Christmas tree taper candle holder. I tried a few methods. This is what ended up working okay. I rolled out the clay just like you do cookie dough, and I cut it into like a triangular shape with a rounded bottom. Then I took tin foil and I bunched it up to create a cone to kind of hold the clay in place. Wrapped my triangle of clay around this cone, tried my best to seal the seam, and then wanted to make some branches. But I found out that the way that worked the best was I would roll tiny little clay balls and then I would pinch it with my thumb while I had wet fingers and would kind of pull the opposite direction into a point and flatten that out, and it created almost like a teardrop shape. And just like the oyster Christmas tree, I started around the bottom, did a layer, and then went up from there. And I tried to kind of make sure that the clay would kind of come off away from the Christmas tree to give it a bit of a body. Is it giving pine cone? A little bit, yeah. I ended it off by cutting off the tip of the tree, which was terrifying. And then I shoved a taper candle into it so that it could dry with the correct circumference. And then I created a little lip around the top to give it a little extra structural integrity. And I ordered spray paint. I figured that would give me a very even coverage around this and maybe also act as an additional adhesive to kind of keep it from cracking, or clay can so easily break off. So I hope that that will give it a little more integrity. And then I have a crazy idea. I have some leftover pearls from a little craft. And to bring in that coastal element, I thought maybe it could be cute to put a pearl on the center of each branch and or around the top of this kind of lip that I made. When the spray paint's here, we'll finish it off, but it needs to dry a little bit longer anyways, I think. My Lowe's order is here. Here are the spray paint options. I feel like it's somewhere between a green and a blue, so it kind of fits Christmas tree / this kind of theme that I'm going for. It is matte, and I don't know, I kind of feel like gloss might look best, but we'll start with a matte cover of paint. I will use this bag to spray paint on. Okay, my Christmas tree has dried and the matte paint actually dried so glossy, which I am very pleased with. And I'm adding a little pearl rim. A huge tip is to let the super glue get tacky. Don't do it when it's super wet, I'm learning, because they'll kind of slip and slide. But if you let it dry for a second, they stick on a lot easier. Okay, I kind of like having the pearls on the upper half of the branches because those are fewer and they stick out more. And then the bottom ones are more and like a little more compact. I think with a little putty, that should stay. Similarly, I tried one other quick craft with the air dry clay. I had bought just a house-shaped cookie cutter. Online, I thought it was gonna be like half the size. It showed up absolutely massive. I was thinking that this could be a cute gift tag, but maybe now it's leaning a little bit more ornament. So I just, like a cookie, rolled it out, cut it out, and then I used a straw to create a little hole at the top that we could tie ribbon in. I could maybe gift this to someone, especially if someone just bought a house like Jacqueline and Mark, and say like our first home established 2024, or whenever they bought it. Just a lot of ideas there that this is how it's looking. It is also drying, and maybe we can play around with painting this later. I'm not very good at painting. So if I end up pulling this off, you can definitely do it. First did try to paint the base of this white and then paint in the details with the blue acrylic paint. Didn't like it. Filled the whole thing in with blue. What I would do is order acrylic paint pens, but trying to just use what I have at home. I'm curious to see if the silver Sharpie will show up on the blue. Otherwise my backup is just a black Sharpie. Just, you know, it's an experiment. I want to decorate these. Oh, the silver might just work. Let's give it a go and see how it looks. And if we hate it, we can just trace right over it with the black. I'm running out of ink. Oh no. I might gotta do it in black. I'm running out of ink. Four Sharpies dried on me. So not the best, but not the worst. I just found a couple different designs on Pinterest and just kind of morphed them into one. And I'm gonna find some ribbon to either make this a gift tag or an ornament or any other ideas. I think acrylic pens would make this all so much easier and so much cuter. So I would love to try to make these in bulk, maybe as little gift tags, and use acrylic pens. All in all, ease of this craft, I would give it 8 out of 10. How this one in particular turned out, I would give it 5 out of 10, but potential 8 out of 10. The next craft I want to jump into is a tea towel to hang in my kitchen that is coastal and Christmas. I recently got this kit. My goal this year is actually to DIY some of my own gift wrap for people, so I wanted to create some stamps. I've only played with one so far to create patterned gift wrap, but I also thought this could be a fun thing to try for myself too. I'm gonna use this little half a sheet. I have two ideas here. We could either do something classic Christmassy and do it in the colors that I like. Like here's an example that I think is really pretty, just an ornament. I think that that's classy. Or we could do something that is very coastal, but do it in Christmas colors. So for example, I just love fish stamps. I think that they're so cute. And I thought maybe I could do that in a red or green, but I'm really leaning towards keeping my color palette consistent and like really leaning into the blues and trying something a little more classic Christmas. So maybe we try an ornament, and I would love to do like a stamped pattern over the whole thing, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First things first, try to even just pull off carving a stamp that I like. I need something round to trace for my ornament. Just a second. I found this basically like biscuit cutter that is a perfect circle. I'm gonna trace this in pencil first. I think that you're supposed to always use pencil when you do this, but I might go over it with pen just because I like a firm plan of where I'm supposed to cut. Let's see if there's enough space for a bow though. Let me try a smaller one too. Or do I do the bigger one on a bigger piece? Crafting is all about experimenting. Can you tell what it is? I just tried to copy. Here goes nothing. Then we get to carving. Test print to make sure there's not any little bits that I need to carve off, and then we will paint some of the fabric paint on there. Oh, this is too big for this. It's okay, I'll do it in 2 parts. Tell me why these always turn out so cute. That turned out cuter than I thought. Okay, there are little bits that I could carve. You see how some of these are sticking out? Now they're blue so I can see them better. I kind of like to leave some of them so that it has the hand stamped feel. I don't know if this is a proper method that people do when they make these, but I have found this to be helpful so that I really get a visualization of which things I miss, because otherwise they all just kind of start to blend into each other. Like I said, I don't want to get all of them because I do want it to be like, oh wow, that was hand carved. Let's see what these colors look like. Okay, kind of bright. This is nice. A few different blues in here. I feel like this one is kind of the perfect coastal. They call it light gray, but that's blue. But it's basically just a little kind of rubbery, between a plastic and a rubber paint roller. And I also need to figure out if this is just an air dry or if you iron this. Okay, you just let it dry for 24 hours, and then after 72 hours it can be washed. Let's give this a go. I'm gonna put this on a plastic disposable plate so that I can get like an even roll. I know on tutorials it says to do several coats, but it's also usually not using fabric paint. Usually it's using like the specific type of ink that you use for printing on paper. I really don't know if this is going to be too thin. Yeah, the paint wants to pool where the crevices are. This is why we're experimenting together. We're just gonna give it a go and we'll just see what happens. Okay, messy. I'm gonna try to rinse it and then I'm gonna try to hand paint on just where the stamp is. A little lighter, but I think that that might be our best bet for now, unless I can research ink options that are fabric safe. Okay, I'm nervous. This is my just cotton tea towel. I'm just gonna try to do one in the center of where it would fold over my stove. It's not great. I kind of want to try one with ink. Looks well coated. Okay. I'm nervous. I like that better than the paint. I do. I recently got this little sparkle star, and I kind of wonder if adding a few of these around it would make it look a little more finished. I would rate this DIY a 6 out of 10. Needs some workshopping. I think if I can find an ink pad that is somehow fabric safe, waterproof, finger safe, then I could play around with this a little bit more. And it's great for me to test this before my Christmas wrap, because I did want to use cloth like this to wrap Christmas presents so that people could keep their gift wrap as tea towels after they open them. So for now, I'll hang it. Why not? Onward to our next craft. This one I have medium to low confidence because this is just something I thought of. And I haven't seen like a tutorial or anything. I'm sure it's been done a million times, but that is making a driftwood wreath. I think an oyster shell wreath would go so hard. I think it would be so cool, but I'm just trying to think of other materials to use that could be beachy, earthy, even found. I did order driftwood. I have a ton of pieces. I've put it in this bowl. I am wondering if I should do the pieces of wood straight up and down like this, or if I should do them side to side, more like this, where they kind of stick off. I feel like the side to side would look better and look more like a traditional wreath, but I just am not fully confident that I would have enough and that it would adhere well. So one idea I just had is I have some fabric scraps, and I thought I could possibly wrap this in a fabric so that if any pieces are showing through, at least it looks pretty. So I actually might go ahead and just try to do that and cut some strips and hot glue it around just to give us a little additional buffer. This is how I do crafts. I have an idea and I go, well, let's try it. And I just send it without measuring or thinking too hard. And I'm sure that that pisses some people off. But maybe it inspires some other people to not overthink it and to just give it a go. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try this and we'll see what we think about having some fabric on here. I think that's gonna look great. Okay. I think I gotta go vertical for safety, even though I don't think it's gonna look as good. Okay, I just used up all the wood and this is what it looks like. Honestly, I doubted for a while, but as I got to my second layer, it started looking better and better, and now I'm like, okay, not bad. This is the secret to crafts. Go in with low to no expectations, because even if it turns out mid, you're like kind of proud. I just got to clean up some of the glue scraps, and I think I'd like to add a bow to it. I'm using this blue velvet bow ribbon for the ribbon garland that I want to make. I'm waiting for the lighter blue color to come in. It might not get here until tomorrow. So I kind of only have this darker blue right now. I do think the lighter blue would be cuter. Do you like to have bows at the top of your wreaths or at the bottom? That's what I wanna know. Whenever the bow's not two-sided though, I feel like, or the ribbon is not two-sided, I feel like the bows don't turn out very cute. I think that's as good as we can do with this ribbon that's one-sided. I think I like it there. Can always swap this bow out later or just remove it altogether. Oh, freaky frack. Shall we picture it hanging on my vent hood? I don't know if I'd hang it there, above the piano, front door. There's lots of different spots that we could hang this, but wait, that's pretty cute. We're getting a new vent hood this weekend actually, so it should be white or cream, so this will stand out even more against it. And I do think that looks so beachy. We are now moving into some comfy nighttime, bedtime crafting. Gotta set the mood with a little candle. There's a little bit of life left in that one. Should carry me through. I made a hilarious mistake though. I ordered scrapbook paper, not thinking much about it, not reading the description like typical me. What is this? It came in tiny, but I was so excited for this pack because it was exactly what I was looking for. There was like retro kind of Christmas, but then a lot of tie-ins to blue. The pattern is very light, not as like saturated as I was hoping for, but like that right there perfectly captures the coastal Christmas that I want. So I'm gonna just go with it to make my classic paper chain garland and just cut all of these exactly in half so that I get 2 chains. At least it will save me some cuts because they're already small. So I'm gonna just sit here in bed, maybe watch a little something, cut all these sheets of paper in half, fold them in a circle, tape it. They're gonna be small circles. They're not gonna be very big, but that's okay. We'll see if it works. And rinse and repeat. Well, since the paper was tiny, I ran out and I only got about 3 or 4 feet. So I think I need to order some more and keep adding to it. And I did 2 pieces per circle to give it enough circumference to wrap around another. But I like the way it turned out. I like how it's like kind of a mix of patterns on each one. I think it kind of makes it fun. cozy bedtime craft, let me show you this garland that Lulu and Georgia is selling for $54 before tax and shipping. I think it's so cute, but so expensive. So I got a velvet ribbon and this kind of, you know, oceany blue that I'm trying to do the color palette. And then I got this very thin velvet ribbon cord. And I've been playing around with how to get the perfect little bow to tie all in a long row, and I've figured out how to do it. So come on over to my cozy dimly lit bed and I'll show you a little tutorial on how it's so easy. It's like very foolproof, and I'm gonna basically sit here and make a dozen or so of these so that I can put them all on a garland together. Okay, I cut a piece of ribbon about, I don't know, 1.5 feet long of the thick ribbon, and then I have maybe about 6-8 inches of the thin, and these are in the same color so that they look cohesive. And all you do is you lay this vertically, and then you lay your fat ribbon horizontally and make sure that it's centered over so you have like a T. Then you're going to want to fold and make an X. X marks the spot, and you want to make sure that the width of these are the same so that it creates a perfect shape bow. And then you just pull this in and you tie it very tightly. And before you finish the tight knot, you can kind of play around with making this the exact size that you want it to be. And then once you play around with it and finagle it, you double knot it and you'll have a perfect bow. I just need to play around with it to get it to lay exactly the way I want it to lay before I finish off that knot. So it takes a little patience per se. Also, this guy kind of wants to come through here. Let's see if that's better. Okay, I've committed. I've tied my double knot, and there's the front of the bow. Made sure that everything's laying forward. And it's so cute, isn't it? And now I have these long strings on the back that I will use to tie it to our like garland. And I'll maybe even add a dot of hot glue to keep them from sliding back and forth. So I'm gonna keep making them. Okay, let's see how they look. I ended up making 2 of them. I'm gonna probably end up hanging one here and one over my bed when it's time to decorate. Sorry, this painting is not hanging currently because we're actually having some work done on this wall tomorrow. It's so cute. Not quite as pro as Lulu and Georgia, but for the price saving, I would choose this one over it for sure. I would give this DIY a 9 out of 10 for ease and outcome. And then as a little bonus craft, I just took little acrylic and painted almost kind of little tulip trios, very sloppily, very quick. I did this in just a couple minutes on these plastic ornaments to see just how they would look. And I do think yet again with acrylic pens, doing this in bulk of, a couple of the favorite accent colors is a really cute way to make some decor for your tree, obviously, or even putting it in a bowl like this. And I think it has potential. I wanted to test it on these cheap ornaments before investing in better supplies, and I kind of think I do want to do this officially. So as a little bonus craft, I would give this 8 or 9 out of 10. Thank y'all so much for hanging out and crafting with me over the weekend. I'm really excited for Christmas decor this year. I feel like I'm finally figuring out what I want. Making these little crafts, I feel like, is a way to add a little personal touch, even if they're not perfect. I've had fun and I'm scheming some more to do. So if you are new to this channel and you want to hang out with me even more, I do crafts pretty often over on the vlog, which currently I post vlogs twice a week, and I have Monday videos as well. So I would love for you to hang out with me, and it's Christmas season. I love you guys. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.